As soon as I entered the water, the salty sea breeze enveloped me, and the sensation of freedom was almost euphoric. The waves, however, were more treacherous than they seemed. At first, I swam with ease, but soon I realized the currents were stronger than I had imagined. The water began to pull me away from the shore, and the fun quickly turned into panic. "Jack, come back!" I heard Lucas shout, but his voice grew distant as I struggled against the waves. Every move I made seemed to drag me deeper, and soon despair took over. I began to sink. The salty water burned my eyes and filled my mouth. I was in a state of confusion, trying to find the surface, but the strength of the sea dragged me down. It was then that, suddenly, a figure appeared before me. A woman, with long, wet hair, dove towards me. I saw her approach, and in a surge of hope, I tried to reach out. She grabbed me firmly, and in a split second pulled me upwards. The cool air hit my face, and I could breathe again. "Breathe, please," she said, her voice firm like the waves that still surrounded us. When I finally surfaced, the sandy beach seemed like a distant dream. I was dragged to the shore, and the woman accompanied me, pulling me towards safety. As soon as we reached the sand, I fell to my knees, panting and dazed. I looked at her, and our eyes met. "Are you okay?" she asked, her tone undeniably concerned. I think so," I replied, still trying to catch my breath. "Thank you for saving me." She smiled, but there was something enigmatic in her gaze. "The sea can be treacherous. You were very lucky. I underestimated the strength of the waves. I shouldn't have gone in." "Everyone makes mistakes," she said, looking out to the horizon, "but it's always good to learn from them." The conversation flowed naturally, as if we had known each other before. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, and I got lost in the moment. My heart was still racing, not just from the experience, but from her presence. "What is your name?" I asked, breaking the silence that had settled between us. "Mia," she replied, and the sound of her name echoed in my mind. "Jack," I said, extending my hand to her. She shook my hand firmly as if sealing a pact. "You can't go back in without knowing what you're doing, Jack. The sea doesn't forgive." "Now I know," I murmured, absorbed in her presence. "But please tell me I'll see you again." She hesitated for a moment, looking at the waves. "Who knows? The world is small and the beaches are always here." Then, before I could ask more, she turned and began walking towards the crowd still partying. I watched her walk away, a mix of gratitude and a strange connection blooming within me. What had started as a night of celebration had now turned into something I could never have predicted. The search for this woman for Mia was just beginning, and I knew I couldn't give up on her. I woke up that morning with the feeling that the sun was shining a bit more intensely. The heat of Malibu enveloped me, but my mind was far from the golden sand and the waves lapping at the shore. I had become obsessed with the idea of finding Mia. The woman who saved me, who emerged from the waters like a sea goddess, was still alive in my mind, but what I most wanted was to know where she was. I decided that instead of staying at home, I should act. I threw on a light shirt and grabbed my phone, storing the unsent messages that should have been for her. I walked to the beach where the remnants of the previous night's party were still visible: plastic cups, distant laughter, and the salty smell of the sea. The sun was shining, and with it, a hope was growing in my chest. "Hi, have you seen a woman named Mia around here?" I asked a group of young people playing volleyball. They stopped and exchanged confused glances. "No, man, never heard of her," one of them replied, shaking his head. "But hey, are you okay? What happened to you in the water?" "I'm fine, just grateful to her for saving me." I felt a pang of frustration as I realized my search was becoming an exercise in futility. I walked further, asking everyone I passed if they knew an artist who painted the sea. Most just looked at me with pity, but without answers. After about an hour of unsuccessful attempts, I decided it might be better to seek clues elsewhere. My friend Lucas worked at a local art gallery and might have information about Mia. When I entered the gallery, I was immediately confronted by an explosion of colors and shapes. The paintings on the walls were stunning, but none of them seemed to capture the essence I was looking for. Jack, great to see you. Lucas waved, coming toward me. What brings you here? Hi, Lucas. I'm looking for an artist named Mia. She saved me from drowning, and I really need to find her to thank her. Oh, Mia. She's an incredible artist. I think she's still painting. I haven't seen much of her around here lately, Lucas said, winking. She had some exhibitions, but I don't know where she is now. My heart raced. Do you know where I can find her? She usually gets inspired at the beach. You might find her there. Look, I'll show you some of her paintings. You can see if any of them catch your eye. Lucas led me to a section of the gallery where Mia's paintings were hung. One, in particular, caught my attention. It was a large canvas with waves crashing against rocks, the blues and greens vibrant as if alive. The movement of the water seemed to dance on the canvas, and I could swear that somewhere in the brushstrokes there was a fragment of Mia. It's beautiful, isn't it? Lucas commented, admiring the piece. She has this special way of capturing the strength and beauty of the sea. You feel a connection when you look at it. Yes. It's like I can feel her energy. My voice came out almost as a whisper. But you don't have any more information about her? Any contact, a place she frequents? Sorry, my friend, I don't have anything. But if I hear anything, I'll let you know. Good luck on your search. I left the gallery, my heart heavy. The painting still echoed in my mind, but frustration began to take hold. I looked up at the sky, as if hoping some answer would fall from the infinite blue. What was I really doing? Why did every step seem to take me further from Mia? Walking along the beach, the waves whispered secrets I couldn't understand. I sank into the sand, watching the water's movement, trying to find the same energy I felt when she saved me. Mia, I murmured, as if the sea could hear my call. Where are you? The sun was beginning to set, tinting the sky with orange and pink hues as I walked through the art festival in Malibu. The salty sea breeze caressed my face, but I could barely feel it. My heart pounded faster with each step I took towards the colorful stalls. After days of frantic searching for Mia, I was finally about to have a chance to see her again. Hope and anxiety intertwined within me, creating a whirlwind of emotions I had never experienced before. As I approached the exhibition area, I saw a crowd gathered around a stall. My heart raced as I recognized a painting that was undoubtedly hers. The sea waves seemed to come to life on the canvas, and the way she captured the light reflecting on the water was simply magical. I moved closer, my eyes fixed on the work, when suddenly I heard a familiar voice. You came? She was right there in front of me. Mia, with her hair blowing in the wind and a smile that lit up the place. My body froze for a second and I could only stammer, Mia, I can't believe it's you. Jack! She smiled, a smile that made my heart melt and at the same time race again. I didn't know you'd come to the festival. I couldn't miss the chance to find you again. After what happened, well, I needed to thank you in person, I said, trying to hide the emotion in my voice, but it was impossible. The memory of the cold water, the struggle not to sink, and especially the image of her pulling me to the surface flooded my mind. I just did what anyone would do, she replied, looking away, but not before I noticed the slight color in her cheeks. The sea can be treacherous, and you were very lucky. It wasn't luck, it was you, I said, feeling that each word carried emotional weight. You saved my life. Mia looked into my eyes, and for a moment, the world around us disappeared. It was as if only we existed in that instant. So, did you like my paintings? She asked, changing the subject, but her gaze still carried the intensity from before. Yes, they're incredible, this one. I pointed to the painting that had hypnotized me. Captures the essence of the sea in a way I've never seen before. It's like you can feel the soul of the waves. Thank you, she said, a proud gleam in her eyes. The sea is my inspiration, my refuge. I would like to know more about what the sea means to you, I suggested, feeling that there was something deeper between us. How about we grab a coffee? We can talk better. Coffee? She hesitated, but a shy smile formed on her lips. I'd love to, but... Before she could finish her sentence, a shadow approached. It was a tall, muscular man with a stern expression and a presence that immediately created tension in the air. Mia, we need to talk, he said, addressing her in a possessive tone. My heart sank. What was happening? I didn't know this guy, but the way he looked at her bothered me. Who is he? I thought. Mia, is everything all right? I asked, trying to stay calm as the tension increased around us. She seemed to pick up the thread of a conversation that hadn't started, but somehow was there, hanging between us. Yes, I'm just talking with a friend, she replied, but her voice was tinged with nervousness. Friend? The man looked at me with disdain. You weren't ignoring me, were you? We need to go. Mia gave me a confused look, and my heart tightened. I didn't want that moment to end like this. Let's wait a bit, right, Mia? I said, trying to ease the situation. We still have a lot to talk about. She hesitated, and I realized that the situation was becoming more complicated than I could have imagined. The connection we had begun to build was threatened, and I didn't know how to handle it. The aroma of fresh coffee filled the air as I waited for Mia in the small Malibu cafe. The place was bustling with people, but I could only think of her. My mind spun around the rescue that changed my life and the inexplicable connection I felt for that enigmatic woman. When I saw her walk in, my heart raced. She looked beautiful, with a light dress that danced softly with the breeze coming through the door. Hi, Jack! She greeted me with a shy smile, but her eyes carried an intensity that made me feel like there was something more there, something I was eager to discover. Hi, Mia, thanks for coming, I replied, trying to hide the anxiety in my voice. I hope you found the place easily. She sat down across from me, and a wave of nervousness swept over me. Yes, it was fine. I was looking forward to talking a bit more. The waiter approached, and we placed our orders. While we waited, I decided it was time to open my heart. You know, I'm not very good at expressing how I feel, but since that day on the beach, I can't stop thinking about you. Mia looked down, playing with her hands. I've thought about you too, Jack. The sea. It's an important part of my life. It's where I feel free, but also where I've faced many difficulties. Difficulties? I asked, curious. What do you mean by that? She took a deep breath as if preparing to reveal a long-held secret. I grew up in a coastal town, and the sea was always my refuge. But it also brought me pain. I lost people I loved to the waves, and that left me with fear. The sea is beautiful, but also treacherous. I felt an immediate connection with her words. I understand. The pressure I feel at work is like a stormy sea. Sometimes I'm afraid of drowning in expectations and responsibilities. I'm an architect, and it's hard to deal with the pressure to succeed. What do you fear the most? Mia asked, her blue eyes shining with curiosity. The idea of failing, of not being able to achieve my dreams, I confessed. But you, Mia, seem so free in your art. How do you manage to deal with it all? She smiled, and I could see the passion burning in her eyes. Art is my way of expressing myself. When I paint, I feel like I can pour all my emotions onto the canvas. It's like releasing the pain and joy I carry inside. The sea is my muse, and at the same time, a reminder of what I've lived through. Our eyes met, and the air between us seemed charged with meaning. I felt that we were on the same emotional waves, navigating together in a sea of vulnerability. But then, the mood abruptly changed. The cafe door opened, and a man entered. His intense, jealous gaze fixed on Mia, and I recognized the tension in the air. Hi, Mia, what are you doing here? He confronted her, his voice low and threatening. The atmosphere grew heavy, and I could feel the discomfort spreading through her. It's just coffee, Lucas. It's none of your business, Mia responded, her voice firm but unsure. You seem to be having a lot of fun, he snapped, turning to me with disdain. And who are you? A friend, I replied, trying to stay calm, but the tension was palpable. We're talking about art. Mia seemed increasingly uncomfortable, and I knew I needed to defend her, but at the same time I didn't want to complicate the situation further. Listen, Lucas, she has the right to meet with whoever she wants. There's nothing wrong with that. He turned to me, his eyes blazing. You don't know who you're dealing with, kid. Mia took a deep breath, looking between the two of us. Lucas, please, no. We can sort this out later. Her gaze was full of worry, and my heart tightened. I didn't want her to feel this way. Maybe I should go, she said, standing up abruptly. Sorry, Jack, I need some time. No, Mia, wait, I pleaded, but she was already leaving a trail of confusion and concern in me. Lucas kept his gaze fixed on me, as if to say I had no idea what was going on. I sat there, unsure of what to think. What did I do wrong? What was really happening between them? The only certainty I had was that I needed to understand Mia, and I wasn't going to give up on her so easily. The sun was setting on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet, but the beauty of the scene couldn't warm my heart. After that tense encounter with Mia, I felt like a part of me was missing. I had tried to contact her several times, but the messages I sent were met with awkward silence. Each notification that didn't buzz on my phone was a reminder that she had distanced herself, and it consumed me. I walked along the beach, the cold wind blowing against my face, the sound of the waves breaking on the sand becoming a sort of melancholic soundtrack to my emotional state. The sea, which had once been a symbol of freedom and adventure, now seemed threatening. I couldn't understand why Mia had pulled away like that so abruptly. What I thought was a genuine connection seemed to have dissipated like the foam of the waves. Jack! A friend's voice snapped me out of my thoughts. It was Tom, a fellow architect. He approached with a smile, but I knew my expression didn't match his joy. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just thinking about some things, I replied, trying to avoid his concerned gaze. Tell me, man, are you still obsessed with the sea girl? Tom laughed, but there was no humor in his voice. He knew the situation was serious for me. She's gone, Tom, and it doesn't seem like she's coming back. The frustration was evident in my voice. Why don't you look for her again? Life is short, Jack. Sometimes we have to be bold. And if I bother her? What if she doesn't want to see me? Doubt hovered over me like a dark cloud. Tom patted my shoulder. If you don't try, you'll never know. Sometimes what we need is to take a risk. Those words echoed in my mind as I continued my walk. I decided I needed to do something. If she was distancing herself, perhaps a different approach could work. What I needed was a way to show her that I truly cared, that she wasn't alone. The next morning, an impulse drove me to explore the city, visiting art galleries, but not to lose myself in their works. I wanted to find something that represented her, the sea, the light, the pain. I wanted to understand her art, to delve into the essence of who she was. It was in a small mural painted in an alley that I found her again. The painting was a storm, violent waves crashing against rocks, dark colors mixed with streaks of light that seemed to fight for space. It was as if the artist was expressing her pain and longing. I stood paralyzed before that work. My heart raced and tears welled up in my eyes. It was as if Mia was speaking to me through her art. Jack? A gentle voice interrupted my thoughts. It was an elderly woman who managed the gallery. Do you care about art? Yes, The artist who made this, do you know where I can find her? I asked, hope burning in my chest. Oh, my dear Mia, she has withdrawn a bit, but her art speaks for her. If you love her, you must find a way to connect. Those words were both a balm and a call to action. Determination grew within me. If Mia was expressing her pain, I needed to show that I was willing to listen, to be a part of her life again. With renewed warmth in my heart, I went home, determined to do something grand to bring her back. I wanted to organize an exhibition of her works, a tribute to everything she represented. I wanted her to know she wasn't alone, that I was still here, waiting for her. As I planned every detail, I imagined the possibility of meeting her again, of looking into her eyes and seeing the light that had saved me. A light I was determined to rekindle no matter what. The day of the exhibition had finally arrived. Anxiety pulsed in my chest like a drum, and I could barely contain my anticipation. Organizing everything for Mia had been a challenge, but the idea of seeing her again, of showing her how much I admired her, gave me courage. With the works hung on the gallery walls and the light softly illuminating each painting, I felt hopeful. Each brushstroke seemed to speak of her essence, the way she saw the world through her art. When the door opened and a light breeze filled the space, my heart raced. It wasn't just the wind, it was Mia. She entered hesitantly, her eyes scanning the walls, and I restrained myself from running to her. The expression on her face was a mix of surprise and emotion. Upon seeing the mural I had created in her honor, tears began to slip down her cheeks. It was as if all the air around us had stopped. "Mia," I murmured, approaching slowly. "I hope you liked it. I did this for you." She looked at me, her gaze filled with gratitude and confusion. "Jack, it's all so beautiful. I didn't know you cared so much." "I care more than you can imagine. Since the day you saved me, my life changed. And this exhibition is the way I found to show how much you inspire me." "Mia, I need to tell you something," I began, but was interrupted by a familiar voice. Her ex-boyfriend, whom I feared would come back, appeared out of nowhere. Look who decided to make a dramatic entrance. Upon seeing him, a wave of anger and protection washed over me. "What are you doing here?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "Just came to see what you were planning, Jack. Looking at things you can't have." He smiled in a way that made me furious. "I'm not interested in you, and this has nothing to do with you," Mia replied, her voice firm, but I could sense she was nervous. The tension increased and my protective instinct intensified. "Mia, you don't need to worry about him. Let's just ignore him." But before I could do anything, the situation escalated. Her ex-boyfriend, now with a threatening look, approached me. "Do you really think you can just step into her life like this? You don't know who you're dealing with." And then, as if the world was crumbling around us, he turned and made a revelation that caught me off guard. "You know, Jack, I always thought you didn't care about me. But maybe it's because you never knew that I am your brother." Those words hung in the air, heavy and loaded with meaning. My heart raced and time seemed to stop. An avalanche of emotions hit me. "This can't be true," I murmured, trying to process what I had just heard. Mia's ex-boyfriend, the man I saw as a rival, was part of me? What did this mean for us? Mia looked at me, her face reflecting the confusion I felt. "Jack, did you know this?" No, I had no idea. The tense atmosphere transformed into something different. Mia's ex-boyfriend, now known to be my brother, looked at us both and, in a moment of vulnerability, said, "I'm sorry. I let pride blind me. Life is too short. Let's try to be a family." The silence that followed was deafening. Reconciliation was there, within reach. But what did it mean for me and Mia? I looked at her, and she looked back at me. Could we overcome this together? "Let's celebrate this," I said, trying to break the tension. "Let's make this work. We are all human, we all make mistakes. The important thing is how we move forward." Mia smiled, her light shining brighter than ever. "Yes, let's. I'm ready for this, Jack. For us." And as the people around us began to applaud and the music played in the background, I realized there was something bigger binding us. Not just the love that was growing between us, but also the possibility of creating a new story, a new family. And so, in that moment, I left the uncertainties behind and embraced what was to come.